many things could have gone wrong as an international team of divers, experts and military personnel worked together at Tham Luang Cave System in Mae, Thailand, this summer to try and save 12 members of the local Wild Boars soccer team and their coach. The group, the boys ages 11 to 16, the coach, 24, had become unexpectedly trapped by rising floodwaters during a brief post-practice trip on June 23. They had no food and limited oxygen in the living-sized chamber where they were holed up, about 1.5 miles from the cave's entrance. Get push notifications with news, features, and more. Following you'll get the latest updates on this topic in your browser notifications. No one outside initially knew if they were alive or even if they could be reached, let alone if they could survive the return journey through treacherous, waterlogged passages. The odds were so stacked against these people, says Matt Gutman, ABC News' chief national correspondent, who arrived on the scene on July 2 and who spent the next 2 months reporting on what he saw, a seemingly impossible mission with an impossible twist. It was a success. It was so much more complex, and so much more heroic, and so much more miraculous than anybody thought possible, Gutman, 40, says. His book on the rescue, The Boys in a Cave, will be released on Tuesday and is exclusively excerpted in this week's issue of People. Gutman gives an inside view of the boys' survival and of the daunting obstacles faced by those who brought them home. But how did they do it? The confirmation, 10 days after the team was trapped, that they were still living deep in the cave, sent a jolt of energy and renewed focus through rescuers and revived the boys' anxious parents. But it also underlined what officials were working against. The Thai government had promised to pursue only risk-free options, according to Gutman, including possibly leaving the team inside Tham Luang for 3 or 4 more months until the end of monsoon season and the abatement of the water. But the challenges of the cave system made the idea of continually ferrying air and food to the boys and their coach seem more and more like fantasy. Instead, they would have to be essentially carried out by the divers, and, at the insistence of the rescues, they would have to be sedated. Even so, many involved believed a majority of the team would not survive leaving the cave. Swimming them through without sedation would have been terrifying for the boys and possibly dangerous for the divers, Gutman writes, so the only option to mitigate possible trauma and enable the divers to do their job was knocking them out. As diver Jason Mallinson explained to ABC, "I can't have him one of the boys twitching around. He could have harmed himself. He could have ripped his face mask off, and then he was dead." "It was much better for me to sedate him and keep him under, in my opinion." The unprecedented plan was put into action with the aid of Australian Drive. Richard Harris, whom Gutman describes as their unicorn for his fortuitous overlapping skills as an anesthesiologist who is also a cave diver who has also been involved in previous rescues. It was Harris who first sedated the boys, but it was the individual divers who had to keep them unconscious during the trek out of the cave by re-administering doses of the tranquilizer ketamine along the way, according to Gutman. In addition to their other gear and the bodies they were carrying, the divers were equipped with needles and syringes. This had never been done before by any of them, Gutman tells People. These guys didn't necessarily think they would die, they figured that they were the best in the world at cave diving. The question is, what do you do if one of your boys is drowning? And this is the question that plagued all of them. As the rescue operation dawned, each boy was given Xanax and then dosed with ketamine and atropine, a drug to dry up their lungs and mouth to prevent choking. They donned wetsuits and specialized full-face masks. They were told that the pill would make them feel a bit strange, but when they woke up, they would be free. The boys' parents were also informed of the rescue, but told to keep it secret, Gutman writes. What they didn't know was that their children were being sedated for the mission. Weeks later, when Gutman returned to the area in late August, the parents were still unaware of that part of the rescue. It was a complete secret, he says. Despite the many risks, the rescue worked. Not a single member of the team or their coach perished or even suffered lasting physical damage, according to observers. Says Vernon Unsworth, a 63-year-old cave expert from the UK who assisted the rescue and briefed the divers. Possibly some people are thinking, I don't believe this happened. But it did.